Hi, I'm Claudia Brown Coulter with Pivotal Peace. I'm your go-to mediator for navigating divorce while parenting children with special needs. I'm also a legal document assistant, LDA, based in the greater Los Angeles area. On Thursdays, we talk about starting your divorce. So when I'm talking about starting your divorce, I'm really like pre-divorce, like pre-petition, like I need me a divorce. What I got to do now to get things in order so that when I'm ready, I'm ready. That is your video. If you are looking for information about getting ready for divorce before you even file, this is the video for you. I love it when clients have all their stuff together. Ooh, they go faster. And then their spouse usually slows them down, but that's okay. We can get the spouse on the same page with you. We can. Let's talk about you and what you need to do. And ideally, you and your spouse can be having some of these conversations early. One of the first things, obviously, you're like, it's the petition. I got to file the petition. Yeah, but we're not there yet. You're thinking about divorce. So what I want you to consider is start looking at your finances. People fight about kids and money. Let's start thinking about your finances. Gather that important financial information, your mortgage statement, your car statement, your credit card statement, all the things that come in the mail or an email, retirement account information. Start gathering that. Go online and check your E-Trade account or whatever you use. Grab statements. Okay, begin to pull that information in. And also, while you're at it, look at the bills that come in the mail. How much did you spend for gas? How much did you spend for electricity? So if you're in like a traditional house, I don't mean a household, but like a traditional home, your bills ebb and flow. In Southern California, if you have natural gas, your gas bill is higher in the winter. We know it's not really winter, but in our winter. And it is way low in the summer because it's just too hot to have your gas on. It's just too hot for your gas furnace. We're not doing that. So you're going to have to kind of look at that and estimate and even things out. But just kind of get an idea. Like, same with your electrical bill. If you're living in the IE and you're running that AC all summer long, you're going to have a high electric bill with SEE than you will in the winter. Begin to think about that. Okay, grab those bills that come in the mail so that you can have an estimate. Oh, I forgot that quarterly we pay for someone to come and walk the property and make sure there's, all the bugs are dead so they don't get in our house. That's a bill you can easily forget about because it's not something you pay monthly. So begin to look through your mail. Then start thinking about the kids. Don't leave this conversation to the last thing you do. Don't do that. They're the first ones you should take care of. Grab those statements while you're thinking about it. And then, because they come in the mail, right? Every day, every month. Think about your kids. Where could we live? What would work for them? Do they have any special needs in terms of their schooling or the environment? Or maybe literally they have a special need in their environment and there's too many allergens and they've got to be in a cleaner environment. So think about that. Like, okay, well, how would we handle holidays? What might work? How have we handled holidays in the past? And I'm so glad I never have to see their family again on Christmas. But what are we gonna do? How are we gonna handle this for the kids? It's going to be challenging for you, but you're gonna be okay. That first Christmas, Thanksgiving, major holiday you spend away from the kids, it's hard. And so is the second and third. And by the fourth one, you're like, oh, I love you. Where's your other parent at? How come they're not here yet? You get used to it. It's going to be okay. But begin to think about education, healthcare. Just think about, what are my kids' needs? What are all the activities they're in and the bills associated with that? And what needs to happen for them, right? Like, do we need a shared calendar? Do we already, as a family, use a shared calendar because we're shuttling our kids back and forth because we've got so many activities? Let's keep using that. So you don't have to put anything on paper right now because you're just contemplating divorce, but really think about that. Like, in an ideal world, what would this look like for the kids? Not ideal for me, Not ideal for them, but for the kids. Well, their ideal is same home. But other than that, what would work best for them? What would meet their needs? All of their needs probably won't get met, but what would check the most boxes? Then I want you to start thinking. You got to take an inventory of your assets and debts. You don't need to walk around with a clipboard and being like, how much is that worth? You have to do that. Begin to think about these things. What is important? What have we shared? Okay, what about this piece of jewelry or this artwork we bought at an auction? What about, oh yeah, we have this rental property. What are we going to do with that? Does my spouse still have interest in this business? He was a partial owner. Think about that. Then you need to think about your debts, right? You've gathered your information. I've found that usually in a couple, one of them is a spreadsheet person, the other one can't stand spreadsheets. That's fine. If you're the spreadsheet person, bust that out. It is a powerful tool. A spreadsheet in a divorce is a powerful tool. Believe me, please believe me. It's a great tool. So where you're listing out, hey, what are our mortgages? What's our mortgage? Not just how much is our payment, but how much do we still owe? That's really important, okay? Because that's going to determine your equity. List out your debts, right? Put it all there. Any loans. So we're not just listing out monthly stuff, but we're thinking about what's our balance due? You don't have to do that step. Sometimes people are more visual where, yes, they see it and they get it, but some people can really even picture it in their mind and remember it. If that's you, cool. You gotta work the way you gotta work. Then you want to think about legal documents. Do you have a prenup? Do you have a postnup? Did you abide by them? Some people have a prenup and then they forget about it and then they just kind of commingle all of their stuff and then it's just, what are you supposed to do with that? You were supposed to keep things separate and you decided to commingle it and now you expect it to be separate again. Why did you get a prenup? So, but if you have a prenup, if you have a postnup, pull that out and read those terms. They are important. I think I've told you guys before that I've done a few divorce mediations where the couple has had a prenup. Well, one of them, the spouse was really convinced that because we were mediating, the prenup would be ignored and it wouldn't matter. No. He was like, I'm quitting mediation. I'm getting a lawyer. He didn't. And we mediated and we settled it. And their prenup was honored. They signed it for a reason. The mediator is going to honor that and discuss the other terms. You have other accounts. You may have a trust. Your spouse you may have life insurance. Your spouse may be the beneficiary on certain items. Those, a lot of times, especially when your spouse is a beneficiary, you're not going to be able to change those in the middle of a divorce. So I want you just to keep a list of those so that when your divorce is finalized, you don't sleep on that. Once your divorce is finalized, I need you to go change the beneficiaries, unless that's part of your agreement. Sometimes people make a spousal support agreement that you're going to pay me this amount a month, but if you die, I need you to have this life insurance policy in place so that we can have continued support. That's different. If it's nothing like that, then they should not be profiting from your death. So, change the beneficiaries. If you choose not to change the beneficiary, just make sure it's a conscious decision, an informed choice. All right, so you've thought through these things, and now you're like, what is my approach? Am I going to do this by myself completely? Am I going to get an attorney and lawyer up? Am I going to do a collaborative divorce where we get attorneys and we have a mediator and we have CDFAs and we all sign a contract and we work together? Or we're going to do work with a mediator and maybe some trusted professionals with that mediator. Decide. You can always escalate, but sometimes it's hard to de-escalate things. So when it comes to your divorce, you can always escalate it. You can maybe start by yourself and you realize you need help. You can hire an LDA and you realize you need help. You can work with a mediator and maybe a CDFA or like a coach or something like that. And then if you still need more help, you can escalate up to a lawyer. But the moment you get a lawyer, if you go from here to here, unless it's really needed, your spouse is going to go here. And they're going to escalate it too. And so you might try to de-escalate it. And they're like, I'm not moving. Nice try. So really put some thought in that. If you need an attorney, get an attorney. Get an attorney. But the thing about contemplating divorce is just think through things. You may not have all the answers. Interview professionals so that you can get the answers you need. The other thing you need to think about is, do you need spousal support? Do you need child support? Remember when I was like, well, take a note of your bills that are coming through and how many activities are the kids in? Those are things that are going to help you determine if the amount of income you have coming in is enough to cover those needs. And child support is so that, both parents should be equally supporting the children. If they're with both parents in the same amount of time, then the living expenses of the children seem to even out. And then it really becomes the standard of living. So if somebody's living at the top of the hill, in a gated community where there's like 2-3 homes there, and it's super, what's the right word? Luxe. And the other person is in Section 8 housing in the middle of the city, and they have 50-50 timeshare, you see that there's a disparity there. So this, where you want to be. Like, I love my mom. My mom is great, right? Your kids are like, my mom is great, but I hate her apartment complex. So I'm going to go live with my other mom on the top of the hill because her house is nicer. We got coyotes up there, but we can live with that. That's okay. The court doesn't want that. The court does not want children to pick where they live because of their living environment, because one parent can afford more. So even if you have the same timeshare, the court may still go, obviously you have a higher standard of living, so you got to pay some support so that it's a little more equal. It's not going to be perfectly equal, a little more equal. Same with spousal support. Spousal support is about the standard of living in the marriage. But here's the thing, 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was great. You could really have that standard of living in the marriage, and it made sense, and you could take one income, it was supporting 2 people, and now you have 2 households and it's fine. We know things are tighter now. So no one's going to have the same standard of living in the marriage post-divorce. The person receiving support or paying support. No one is, because our dollars are just not stretching as far. So you also need to be coming to reality. Spousal support is not to be used as punishment. Spousal support is not a spanking. It is not a time out. It is not a you were bad, so you need to pay me. The last thing I'll say about this, because this video is getting a little long, is really think about your future. When it comes to your finances, can you support yourself? Even if you get support, child support or spousal support, eventually that's going to end. So think about, like, where can I live with my income? Will it be enough? What can I do to make it enough? And what would my potential budget look like? Think about that so you can wrap your mind around that. Don't forget to take care of your mental health. Not only should you be seeing a divorce coach to help you think about your negotiations so you're not asking for things that are so outlandish that it causes your spouse to be like, forget this, I'm just going to go to court. But you should also be seeing a therapist. A therapist will really help your mental health. Really help. Really, really help. Divorce is like a death, but ain't nobody dead. So it's hard to grieve when people are looking at you sideways. Nobody looks at a widow or a widower sideways like, oh, well, sucks to be you. It's your fault your spouse is dead. Nobody looks at them like that. But that's how they look at people going through a divorce. You're grieving. Well, I thought you wanted this divorce. I want to talk to you. I want to see your face again. You're a horrible person. By the way, you're going to hell. So, on top of everything that happened in your divorce, you have the outside world giving you a whole bunch of judgment. There's also people who've given you a lot of love and support too, but it is hard. So, therapy will really, really, really help you. If you need some names of therapists in the LA area, Greater Los Angeles area, I got a couple names for you. So, as you contemplate divorce, just think before you move on this action. Think about your finances, think about your kids, think about your future budget so that you can approach this with eyes wide open. You may need a divorce because of someone's bad behavior, but the courts will not use the divorce process to punish someone for their bad behavior. So I need you to come to terms with that. You can do this. Your divorce can be amicable, and I can help you.